Thank you for this opportunity. It's so nice to be able to voice those opinions and really just talk to someone on the higher end about everything that we're thinking about this year, this
Yes.
season. I'm
Well,
very
I
excited.
see you to be on the high end. So that so we're in good company. This is how I learn and can be a better senator by talking with you. I especially love talking with young people, and hearing what, as I said, what concerns you, what excites you, and how we can work together, right, to shape that healthy future that you want for yourself and all your friends.
I
And
can't
that's what
wait.
we want.
Thank you.
So, Anika, do you want to tell, you can tell me and everyone who will have a chance to watch our Zoom, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're at Rustin and you said you're in track. So just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, hi everyone. My name's Anika, and I'm a sophomore at the Rustin High School. This year, I've definitely focused a lot more on getting more involved with the community through track and spending more time with my friends outside of school. But then I also like to try and voice my opinions a lot more through opportunities like this. In my own school, I actually started a club called When Westchester Votes with one of my friends, and we're just getting more people like our age and our generation educated on the voting process and all of their friends and family registered. So through that, I've just been working with COVID and around COVID to make a bigger impact and just have fun while staying social distance, trying to see what new hobbies I can find, ways to help out.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Yes. Staying busy and being creative during COVID, right?
Yeah.
We've all had to dig into our creative selves. And as you said, how to stay connected, how to keep up with your friends. Thank you for your work with your voting. How did you choose that title? When Westchester?
Off of when Michelle Obama created When We All Vote. So when we created this club, we wanted to keep that same title so that way it was easy to recognize the correlation.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And so what happens when Westchester votes?
So at our school, we have a lot of the members from our grade and other grades come meet and we hold presentations about different topics from National or Women's History Month that just happened to judicial elections and primaries that are coming up. And we just talk about what it means to be a part of each elections, what to be looking for on the ballots, and just any vocabulary that you might not know about. Because really, we just want to educate others so that way they can get more involved. With that, we also have a link to register yourself. So wherever we can, we like to hold a registration drive or send that link out through DMs and social media to get more people registered.
That's wonderful. And so when people get registered and educated, they are more likely to vote and be super voters, as you know. Twice a year, every year, I tell people, and I like to tell the young students about being a super voter. And I tell them, you could even make a cape for yourself if you vote twice a year, every year, and really be a super voter. But they always like that. But it's true. Twice a year, every year as a super voter. Well, we could talk the whole time about voting and the importance of voting, but being celebrating 100 years of some women, not all women's right to vote, right? Women of color did not have a chance to vote really until the Voting Rights Act in the 1960s. So I always like to mention that. But yes, we're celebrating the right of women to vote this year, or last year, 100 years. And the League of Women Voters, that is the today the outgrowth of the suffragettes, I'm a longtime member, has a motto: your vote is your voice.
I I
So,
totally agree with that.
right? And so we need to hear everyone's voice so that we understand the consequences, the unintended consequences, and the things that matter to people. That's how we make a better community, elect more diverse elected officials, and make policy that really works for everybody. So you had a few things that you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to ask you, I've asked you some questions. You can ask me some questions.
I think the first thing that's been on my mind and a lot of the other people from my generation has just been what the future of COVID will look like. I know recently that President Biden issued a statement saying that by May, fortunately, we'll have enough manufactured vaccines for the entire country, which is awesome. I was just questioning about if there's a plan to distribute and improve accessibility to these vaccines as they're being manufactured and like that time delay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think, there's been chaos has abounded, right? In the rollout of the vaccine. And there are a lot of reasons for that. And, you can play Monday morning quarterback, as they say, and you can say, well, now that we know this, we should have done that. But it's also important to remember that when any major program, and this is a huge, this is a global vaccination program that we are managing here at a national level, a state level, and a county level. When there's a major program that rolls out, there's going to be chaos. And so I think our expectations may have been perhaps not quite realistic to think that things were just going to roll out smoothly. So important to remember, do a reality check. We can expect that things are going to be chaotic at the beginning, and it was, and it still is to some extent. It's getting better every day, however. Our acting Secretary of Health, Allison Beam, said, we're in a mode of constant correction. So, they're going this way, this needs to be tweaked or changed. They're correcting, and which is a good thing because it is a huge undertaking. The state Pennsylvania has just hired a consulting firm that has been helping other states organize the rollout, the data, the distribution, keeping track, making sure it's fair, making sure there is equity in the distribution. No one is left out. And I think that is going to help a lot. So they already have experience in other states. They've been successful. They're now helping Pennsylvania. So I think that's very important. We're also seeing some changes here at the county level. The county had difficulty, as everyone's had difficulty, with getting emails out to people whose turn it was to get the vaccine. And so there were problems with all of the IT management of the vaccine appointments. So what have the county commissioners decided, and the county Department of Health? They're going to call people on the phone instead of dealing with very low tech, right, Anika?
Yeah.
But so great. They have a call-in line where people can call, they can sign up. We can make sure, Karina can make sure that that you have that number and that we post it on our Zoom program. But so people get a live person who can help them. Yes, you're already, signed up, or no, you're not. Let's sign you up. Your turn, here's where you are in line. You should, here in the next couple of weeks or whatever. But what the county has decided, as I said, no more emails, phone calls. And so they're ramping up their volunteers for phone calls. And tomorrow, I and many of my elected official colleagues and some of our staff are going to be going to Government Services Center, to the Emergency Operations Center, and we're going to be making phone calls and calling people whose turn it is, they're next in line, and we're going to help them and set up an appointment right then. So I'm very, very excited about that, to be calling people who I know are going to be so thrilled and surprised, quite frankly, to get a phone call. But that personal touch, I think, is very, very important. So, and also we now see our teachers have been prioritized, right, with the J&J vaccine. That is rolling out on March 10th. March is going to be a big month, Anika. Big month for vaccine. Yes. And I and all of my colleagues in the State House and the county and federal elected officials, we all worked really hard to move our teachers into that priority position. And so they will start being vaccinated on March 10th.
Oh,
And
nice.
yes, next Tuesday, right?
That's amazing.
Amazing. And that's all being handled by the Chester County IU. So here for Chester County. And so that's happening. And as President Biden said, I want every teacher in this country to have their first dose, at least their first, by the end of March, March 31st. So Chester County is on track for that to happen, which is thrilling. And so that, you know, more doses are also coming of the other vaccines for all the people who are not teachers, right? Who are in 1A. And then we're hoping we're going to get through 1A more quickly now that more vaccine is coming. And then we'll be moving to 1B and so on. But March is a big month for huge changes in the distribution and the supply of the vaccine.
That's so reassuring to hear, because I know there have been so many questions about that, and to know that there's a lot more of a direct way to get in contact, I think a lot of people are going to feel like a lot safer in the circumstances that we have. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And we worked really hard to make it as personal and user-friendly as possible. So we had started with the county had started with the helpline, you know, call and talk with a live person. And then, as I said, they just moved to making appointments by phone. And so I'm really excited, and I'm so excited about being able to call people tomorrow, and you know, they're going to be so excited.
I think that is really thrilling to be able to have that more like upfront call instead of having to rely on email or text messages. I know technology hasn't really been anyone's friend lately. I can attest to that.
And there are a lot of seniors and other people, but certainly seniors who don't use a computer, or if they do, you know, it's difficult to navigate the websites and so on. And so this is, everyone can make a phone call and get all the help that they need.
That brings up an interesting point that I was thinking about the other day. Looking like we might go back to school next year with the new vaccines and the distribution, is there a plan for what's to do with the younger students who aren't under 16 or who are under 16? I know that some of the vaccines have been cleared for 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds who are older than that, but for the elementary and middle school kids who haven't reached that age yet, are we planning to have them stay remote or like half and half?
I don't know, Anika. I believe that the goal is to get all students pre-K to 12 back in school full time as soon as possible. And as far as vaccines go for children under 16, my understanding is that that Dr. Fauci and all of the scientists are working on developing those vaccines. They just need to make sure that they're safe for for children. So, but I believe we will see that coming. And everything is moving more quickly than we expected. So, but I don't have the numbers or timing rather on when that's coming, but I know that's in the works. The goal is full-time for everyone in school.
Well, I think with the vaccines on the way for everyone who's 18 and older, it shouldn't be too long. I guess, I mean, we're in the long run, so it should be
Yes.
good. I'm feeling
Yes.
confident about that.
Yes. Good. So what else is on your mind?
So I was also thinking about what changes we're making to improve our environmental crises and just changes that way. I know with global warming and land development, it's been hard to find sustainable ways to make changes without working backwards.
Yes, absolutely. Well, a couple of things there. Number one, I want to thank you and all the young people who Greta Thunberg and many young people who have become activists and advocates for a clean energy future so we can stop climate change.
Yeah.
And so I thank you for that. And you all are making a huge difference. And your work with When Westchester Votes, you're getting more people registered, you're educating them, and they are going to vote. Young people we are seeing are voting for candidates who are fighting the climate crisis. So everyone's, and so we are seeing this across the board in political parties. Doesn't matter, young people are green. And of course, we know climate change and environmental issues are not political issues. They are public health, personal health, and quality of life issues. They always have been. So, and I think our young people are very clear about that, and you are leading the way on this. In addition, I am now the minority chair for the Environmental Resources and Energy Committee in the Pennsylvania Senate.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't set the agenda because I'm not the majority chair, but I am working hard in that capacity to move forward good legislation that is going to protect clean air, clean water, and move toward a clean energy future. And so, for example, my colleague, Senator Yaw, who is the majority chair, is holding, he convened, and we will be holding together a briefing on carbon capture as part of reducing carbon in the atmosphere from the fossil fuel industry. So this is something to take a look at. I'm looking forward to that. That is coming up this week, also March 10th, I think. The governor has also moved forward to have Pennsylvania join the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. And this is a partnership of 11 states that put a cap on the amount of carbon that can be emitted, and then fees and that different companies need to pay if, to keep their carbon emissions down. So we're working, this is moving forward. We're hoping that we will be able to complete that process and begin our membership in RGGI in January of 2022. So that's coming up. I think another exciting thing, Anika, is to see what the global companies, fossil fuel companies are doing, right? Global investment firms, Google, Microsoft, all of these, everyone is realizing that, wow, the world is changing. Our customers expect us to be good environmental stewards. Our employees expect us, and our shareholders. So we're seeing lots of changes in global companies even before the governmental policies are put into place. So I believe with young people, with environmental champions who are serving now and will be elected moving forward, and with the corporations and some of the other programs like RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, and other programs moving forward, I feel like we've been setting the stage for a long time, and a lot of initiatives are coming together to stop carbon emissions and reach 100% clean energy by 2050.
That's a really great goal. I know it's really reassuring to hear that there's policies being put in place now for companies, because it's a huge demand growing in our generation and the above generations about preserving our economy, our environment and our ecosystems, to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. I know that's something I'm always looking for whenever I look at Amazon ads or Google ads, to make sure that whatever I'm ordering isn't hurting the environment more than it is helping.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful to hear that we've got a plan to move forward in a way that's more sustainable.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and just like you said, you and your uh, buying practices, you are helping to move us, elected officials and corporations, in a direction that is reducing carbon emissions and fighting climate change. So thank you for that. You and old, and I'm sure, and I know young people, you are paying attention to these things and you are taking action, and it's really making a difference.
Thank you.
So yes, please go right ahead.
Well, thank you. The last thing I just wanted to talk about was discussing diversity and what work is being done to provide more resources to the schools and communities that are underfunded and have higher minority rates.
Yeah. So Pennsylvania has a lot of work to do here, but we did pass a fair funding formula that makes sure that dollars, education dollars, are distributed to the schools that need it the most, to make sure that a child gets a great education no matter where they live. People say every child deserves a quality education regardless of their zip code, right? Here in Westchester, we have a wonderful Westchester School District, and you are so fortunate, and my children were fortunate, and I actually are fortunate to be living in the Westchester School District and have the wonderful schools. So the fair funding formula right now is some of the education dollars are distributed using that formula, so that school districts like Westchester that have a greater capacity to fund their schools with local real estate taxes, school taxes, and so on, would not get that extra money, but a school district that really needs it would. So we already have about 10% of the money going into that formula. But what we would like to do, and we have a bill right now to do this, would be to put 100% of the education dollars from the state in through this fair funding formula. And part of it, I mean, some of the school districts say, well, please don't take away the funding that we get from the state, because
Right.
We really need, so we don't want to take it away, for example, from Westchester. So there's something called a hold harmless clause, which means we're not going to take away the money that you're getting, but the money that we are, the education dollars, we're going to put through this fair funding formula, and we're going to make sure that the schools in areas that do not have the ability to raise the school real estate and tax revenues to have quality education for their students, that they get the money they need. So we're looking into that right now. I mean, we'll see how we do in Pennsylvania this year, but that would be a huge investment in our future. Every child
I would
deserves
love
it.
to see that
Wouldn't that
take
be
place.
great?
That would
Yeah.
be amazing to see
Yeah.
that if you live in a poor community or as no good, like wealthy funded one, kind of like Westchester, you'll have that equal education. I think that's something that a lot of people would be looking into.
Yes, yes. So that bill is out there, and there is a lot of discussion about it, and many of us, I will be voting yes, and I will be advocating for that strongly. Yeah.
Do you know if there's anywhere else that community members like myself can go and learn more about it and maybe promote it in any way? Because I think this is something
Yes.
that we'd be really interested in.
Absolutely. So what we will do, you can go on my website and get all of that information. And I will ask Karina to put that also in our Zoom call so that you and everyone else can take a look and see. I mean, you can also Google it on your own, but you can certainly come through our website as well to find all kinds of information. I have bill information, my position on it, as stated, and so on. So there's a lot of information there. Your questions are so wonderful,
Thank you.
and you've really hit on some very key issues. So before we end our interview, or not an interview, our conversation, I wanted to ask you, will you tell me, what do you love these days? What really brings joy to you?
For me, anytime that I get to spend with others, especially being isolated now, it's nice to go out and social distance at the park with my friends or ask my family from other cities to come over and just sit in a big circle 6 feet apart. One thing that I've really been interested in is at the borough, whenever they held these social distance events, like lining up in the streets and just talking that way, or having masks and get togethers in a way that is safe, but also promotes people getting outside and spending the new weather. Anything to do with social interaction, really, I'm really interested in.
Hear, hear. That's wonderful. And as you said, you're finding creative ways and safe ways to do that. And so keep doing that, because that does that is the joy of life, right? Being with
Right.
friends and family and people we love. So Anika, I enjoyed every moment talking with you. And I thank you so very, very much. And I wish you all the best as the track season unfolds. And I'm going to be thinking about you out there running next week when it's in the 60s and
I
beyond.
hope so. Thank
So
you.
take good care of yourself. And again, thanks so much for spending some time with me today.
Thank you for holding these conversations. It's so nice to be able to voice just all the thoughts that we're thinking right now.
Well, thank you. And that is my joy, Anika. As I said, I love being with you, and I love being with young people and the things that I learn. So you just brought a lot of joy into my day. So thanks so much.
Thank
And
you,
take
Senator Camilla.
care. All right. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye, Senator.
Bye.